Hi, in today's video I would like to review Amkov AMK5000S Wi-Fi action camera. I will also walk you through the setup of this camera, show you its features and test its video, audio and overall performance. AMK5000S is a more advanced successor of AMK5000 produced by Chinese company called Amkov. Amkov is a relatively new and unknown company, and at the time of making this review they didn't even have a site, though I was notified that they are working on making one. The difference between the 5000S and 5000 version is that the new S version offers 20 megapixel images and supports TV out mode, which is essential for people who are involved in aerial photography and remote control quadcopters. Everything else, including the design, is completely the same, and after doing some research I came to a conclusion that AMK5000S brings improvements only made in firmware or software. Amkov actually didn't improve anything, they just updated the firmware and launched camera as a new version. So if you're thinking of getting either of these two, get the newer one because it's probably better firmware. Anyway, AMK5000S is a manufacturer's latest product. The camera comes in 3 different colors and offers full HD video recording and apparently 20 megapixels photographs. Camera weighs only 72 grams, has built-in Wi-Fi, which means you can control the camera remotely via the application. It has 4 operating modes, supports memory card up to 64 gigabytes, which is slightly better than some other competitors' cameras in the same price range. It also records MP4 video format. It offers 2 video system, PAL and NTSC, and more importantly it has image resolution of apparently 20 megapixels, which I will test in a bit later in this video. Battery is quite good for this camera. It has 1150 milliamperes Li-ion rechargeable battery, which you can charge via the PC or with AC adapter, and that is pretty much everything. It has digital zoom up to 4 times, which is completely irrelevant, and supports multiple languages. That's everything summarized about this camera. Now I'll unbox this camera, so let's see what's inside. The first thing I did not like about AMK5000S by Amkov is immediately visible on packaging. Nowhere on the box will you see the name of the camera or a brand, which is completely ridiculous. I could not believe that the manufacturer would hide its name on the packaging. And do not get me wrong, I have nothing against Amkov, but I really cannot believe that the name of camera is Sportscam, excellent made for your phone and tablet. I do not know, for many customers inability to see identity of manufacturer of the camera causes the weird feeling inside the stomach for sure. Box itself is pretty similar to the SJ4000 camera. By the way, if you haven't watched my SJ4000 review, it is one of the most popular action cameras out there, so I'll put a link to it in the description of this video as well. Only when you open a box and turn the camera to its back, you'll be able to see a tiny logo saying Amkov 5000 on the battery back door. Firstly, this is not 5000, this is 5000S version, but anyway, very confusing thing. I do not know why Amkov is doing this. They completely need a new branding manager because this is ridiculous. I got a bit carried away, guys, sorry about that. Now let's go to the gears. Camera comes action packed with a bunch of gears inside. Like lots of other action cameras from China this year, this one also comes with huge amount of accessories, and I will now very quickly go with everything you get inside. So Since I showed you the gear, let's now take a closer look at the Amkov AMK5000S camera. Camera is identical to GoPro Hero 3. It has 0.65-inch screen on front and the power button in the left corner. LED lights on the front are tinier than ones that Hero 3 has. Obviously, the idea behind the design for the camera was to make it look similar or identical to a GoPro, which again, some users will like. People like me that prefer new things in action camera market won't like it, but on the other hand, I completely understand the decision because the customers expect action camera to look like GoPro so that they can brag to their friends that they got a Chinese copy that is just 1/3 of price of GoPro. So let's leave all the GoPro rant on the side and let's now see all the buttons and ports of this camera. At first glance, it seems that camera has too many functions and buttons, but most of these are completely necessary and will enable you quick access to all the functions. This button here is called the mode or on-off button. It helps you turn your camera on or off by holding it for a few moments. It is also used to enable you switching through different modes, photo or video, and also to change resolutions. This LED light here is called a recording indicator and it will blink if you are recording. You will now see when I press the shutter button up, it will blink. When I stop the video recording, the blinking stops as well. There are multiple LED buttons, including the one here, so it is always good to have as many indicators to know if you're recording or not. Besides that, on the side we have here the USB port, HDMI port and micro SD card slot. Up here we have the microphone and the shutter button. On the back we have one more indicator, and this here is a battery compartment and you can just open it. It is a bit hard to pull out the battery, but since all the ports including the micro SD are on the side, there is not much need to actually pull out the battery that often, but it is a bit hard to remove it, which is on one hand good and means that the battery won't fall off easily. It has this strap here to enable you easier pulling out. On the side here we have also the Wi-Fi button, and you simply need to press it when your camera is turned on and the Wi-Fi will turn on. You do not need to hold it, just a simple press and you will see here the Wi-Fi indicator here. It will not blink, but you will see a green light once it's turned on. When it comes to the lens and sensor, camera has 170 degrees f2.8 lens and Samplus 6330M sensor chipset. Unlike a bunch of other action cameras I tested, AMK5000S has a completely different position of the LCD screen. Instead of being at the back, which is where most of action cameras have it, it has small colorless screen at the front. The main purpose of the screen is to enable switching through different modes and resolutions quicker and smoother. And having this sort of LCD is handy, but I must say I do not like the way it works. Many times I was annoyed with having to click mode button few times, which enables you to switch through different resolutions. If you want to change from photo to video, you need to click 5 or 6 times. I completely understand the user experience here and the simplicity they wanted to achieve, but the main problem is that changing resolution is too easy. I was frustrated when realized that 70% of videos I recorded hoping to have nice footage to present to you guys were in very poor 720p resolutions. I learned my lessons. Before recording with this camera, I always double check that the resolution is 180p 30. You have all this info on the screen, but since everything here is just a click away, it's very easy to select an option which you do not want. Besides switching through different resolutions and seeing battery life, screen is pretty much useless. You cannot preview video, photos or anything else, so it's there just to make setup options change easier. For everything else you pretty much have to use the app, which is controlled via the Wi-Fi. So my final judgment is that if this camera has to have an LCD screen, then it should have a bit more functions and make user navigation and clicking a bit easier. Amkov is somewhere in between. It has a screen, but there is not much you can do with it. So it has a screen, but it does not have one, if you know what I mean. The countdown here shows the remaining hours or minutes that camera can record with SD card you are using. Once again, camera supports up to 64 GB micro SD cards. So if you're in photo mode, it will show you approximate number of images you can take until your memory gets full. This is pretty useful feature and I like it. The tiny icon in the top left corner indicates an SD card. If you see it, that means that your camera successfully read the micro SD card. This is not something useful, and I guess they had to put something in that top left corner. Battery icon or indicator is in top right, and it shows how much battery you have left. Okay, after quickly going through accessories and all the buttons here, ports and everything else about this camera, it's time for the most important thing, video, which is absolutely the number one thing everyone wants to know. So, camera can record videos at 30 frames per second in full HD and HD, and also record 60 frames per second in 720p. Now I will just let you guys enjoy the video footage I have taken for a while, and then I will come back and show you also photography and how photos work.
Tako mirno.
Pa da bi imala pravi viš. I on je počeo sad već u 6. mjeseca počinju uši da dižu. On ne smije da dižu uši.
Ajde, selfie. Idi malo, brate, ovamo.
Gdje bre da zidem tako?
Samo tu u rupu ovu.
Idemo. I to tamo sve super. Daj tu motku. Daj motku.
Like nearly any other action camera these days, AMK5000S allow you to take photographs besides taking videos. According to the official specification, here are the resolutions in which camera can take photos. However, even though most of people would believe the specs, experience taught me to always double check the resolution and true megapixels that Chinese manufacturers put in specs actually. Most of manufacturers interpolate their resolutions. Simply, this makes your photo appear as it is taken in high resolutions, and it will show actually that it is, for instance, in 20 megapixels. However, once you try to zoom in the image, you will see that there is no chance that this is 20 megapixels. Image sensor it uses is completely unknown to me. I was not able to find any info on it online. So if any of you guys know more about the SunPlus 6330M, please let me know. I would gladly like to hear the true resolution in which this camera can take photos, but it definitely is not 20 megapixels. In my humble opinion, it's somewhere between 3 and 5 megapixels, which is again pretty good for its price and for the size of this camera, but I do not like when manufacturers, and do not get me wrong, plenty of other, 99% of Chinese manufacturers do this, but it's just something that I do not like. Better put 5 megapixels than 20 megapixels trying to deceive people. Okay, one thing I noticed about this camera is that at 2 megapixels it creates actually much wider field of view. Amkov 5000S produces decent photos for its price, as I said. Here you can see few sample images I have taken. You will see that it's pretty decent for people who are not professional photographers but still would like to carry something tiny and lightweight in their pocket to capture different scenes or different situations. Images are pretty sharp and pretty good in both close-up and long distance, pretty clear. One thing I noticed is that occasionally camera will struggle to get proper exposure, or basically its image brightness. Take a look, for instance, at this here image. You'll see the camera simply failed to do a proper exposure. Okay, so I showed you a few sample images. If you want to download the raw files and take a look at them at your own PC, not just on YouTube, which I highly recommend, please check the link in the description of this video. It will lead you to my full review on my website where you can download a bunch of video and image samples. So I always recommend you to do this before buying any camera. Now, I showed you the video. We tested the audio and images, and now it's time for a bit boring part of this video, but I'm sure that it will be helpful if you decide to purchase this camera, because I will be going through the app and show you additional settings that this camera has. So let's just move on and see how the Amkov iCam app works. Okay, before you're able to use actually your app, you first need to turn on the Wi-Fi and pair your camera to an application or to your mobile device or tablet. The first thing you should do is, of course, turn your camera first and just click the Wi-Fi button, which I previously explained how it works. So just click it once and you will see the green button indicating that the Wi-Fi is turned on. Now, assuming that you already downloaded the Amkov iCam app, MK iCam, you first need to go to settings of your phone or tablet and find the Amkov Wi-Fi connection, which will appear under a strange name. Here it appears under name IDY, something like that. So just connect to that network, and if you're connecting for the first time, you might be asked to enter the password, and in this case the password is always the default. Always check the manual. I think in this case it's 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 or something like that. I can't remember now, but check the manual, you'll see the default password there. Once you're connected to the Wi-Fi network of your camera, go to your application, and now it will take a few seconds for camera and the application to pair. And now when they are paired, you will be asked here to click OK for some reason. And now you see here at the screen of my tablet, you will see exactly what camera sees. I'm currently recording and talking, and you see here that the camera actually sees, and here is my room. Now let's go through all the settings that camera has. At first, the interface of this app might seem great. For my taste, it's a bit cluttered and it's hard to navigate. So you have three modes. The modes are located here. You have video, photo. Here you switch through different modes. You hear that sound, means that you switched. And here is the preview, photo preview mode. In order to change mode, just go from video, photo, or preview mode here. So once you're in the video mode, first icon here will let you change different video resolutions. Second here is movie clip time. Basically it's the loop recording, which means that your camera will record for a minute, then cut the video and record another one. So if you want shorter clips, you can select 1, 5 or 10 minutes, but I always keep this off as I want to control the length of my video manually. So the third icon here is the settings. White balance will change the coldness or warmth of your camera or footage, and it's a great option. Here you can see some samples on how white balance influences the footage and how it can change it in a best possible way. So here you now see images I have taken, same images under different white balance, and you can see how much influence it has on your video. Frequency, date, time, formatting and reset setup are pretty much standard options for any recording device, so I won't be going through them. Here you can see in the top right corner the Wi-Fi indicator, which means that Wi-Fi is connected. You see the battery indicator and the white balance. On the top right corner you here have the zoom. Please note that this is just a digital zoom, which means that camera just crops the image and ruins its quality, so zoom is pretty much useless here. This middle button here is recording. Once you click it, you will hear this sound and your camera will start recording. You can of course stop the video footage, start it, all that just by clicking at this single button here. There are not many functions in video mode. Basically everything is on auto, and that is something I must say I do not like. I like to have plenty of options to control my video, but as you see it's pretty good for newbies. Just plug this camera, click record and you're good. Anyway, inside the photo mode there are plenty more settings, which I'm not sure why they haven't included them in video, but here is the exposure. It also controls how bright your video is. Here you set a self timer 2 or 10 seconds. The third icon here you can choose different photo resolutions. The fourth icon in the left corner is the most important one. It leads you to general settings, and now you can see how many settings actually this photo mode has. Plenty more than video. So continuous shooting. This is basically a burst mode. If you select 3 photos, once you click the shutter button, which is one here, you will get 3 photos at once or 5 photos. This is great for sports photography and photographing fast moving objects. I really like this option. Again, you have here a white balance also for the photo mode. I won't be going through it because I already did in video. You have also standard frequency, date stamp, and here you have the metering mode. ISO is one of the most basic functions in photography. It's basically the option which controls how much light will go into your camera, and this camera has ISO range for up to 1060, which is pretty good. Some other cameras have up to 400. Anyway, I always keep my ISO to auto because I do not want to be bothered with this, and camera is pretty good at determining the ISO itself, so I always keep this to auto mode. The color effect is pretty interesting option, though I haven't found much use of it. Here you can see some samples taken in different scenes actually. The rest options are format and reset setup. Format will format your camera, reset setup will return all the camera options to default, so if you mess something up you can always reset setup. That was basically it. App works pretty fast, it has no bugs, but it is a bit cluttered. But on the other hand, I really cannot find any other remark about it. So overall, pretty decent app, and it works on my tablet, which is not the case with some other action camera apps. Let's now go to summary, and I will summarize entire experience of using the Amkov AMK5000S. Okay, let's now summarize my overall experience by using Amkov AMK5000S. action camera. I was so excited when I first ordered this camera. Deep down inside, I was really hoping that it has a true 20 megapixels photography, but again, I knew somehow that it is not possible for this price. So camera sells for around 70-80 bucks, which is a great price. So this is the biggest advantage of this camera. It's darn cheap. It comes with plenty of accessories. It is very lightweight and small sized, and it has a better battery life than most of its competitors in the same price range. I quite like how the app works and the software overall. There were not any bugs while using it, and I'm quite satisfied with the software and firmware part of the Amkov camera. Camera boots up pretty fast, it's easy to take photos, videos are decent, and images are quite sharp for low price tag that this camera has. A manual that comes with this camera is average for Chinese action camera, nothing special and nothing useful. I'm quite annoyed with the navigation or mode switching and resolution changing, and I think that the manufacturers have to do something with it, because it is very easy to change through different resolutions, and I really had problems with having to check all the time whether the camera is in 180p or it is 720p. Overall experience, this is quite good camera for its price. I do not like the LCD display it has, and I believe that either it should not have display or it should have the useful one. This one that the camera has is not quite useful. I believe that Amkov is, since they are new to the market, I think that they're on a good way, but they still have a mountain to climb in order to establish themselves as a reliable action camera brand. They are on the good way, but things can get much better. I do not like the design of this camera as well, because it is too much GoPro style and they just copied basically the GoPro. Also, hiding the camera brand on the packaging is something suspicious, though I really haven't found any reason for Amkov not to be proud of their brand in this review, so really. So I hope I managed to present this camera to you guys and help you decide whether or not it is good choice for you. As always, if you have any questions, spotted any mistakes, or want to share your own experience of using this camera, feel free to drop me a comment, and make sure to subscribe and like this video, because it means a lot to hear feedback from you guys. Thank you for taking time to watch this video. If you want to find out more about this camera and its features, make sure to click the link and it will lead you to full in-depth review on my website. Thank you very much and see you in the next video. Bye bye.